This episode of Horror Movie Talk brought to you by Voorhees Breath Mints. Just take two, and you'll notice a difference.
Hi, Robert Englund here, a.k.a. Freddy fucking Krueger. And you're listening to Horror Movie Talk.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
Took a stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. Woo, woo, woo. Alert, alert.
Did you notice anything different about the intro?
Whatever could you be talking about, Bryce?
Oh, you know, just Freddy fucking Krueger.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're stuck! We're stuck!
Oh, man. This day is going to be a good day. This is going to be a great recording. I would like to introduce your host, Dr. Bryce Hanson, who holds a PhD in spookology, and Professor David Day. That's me, the foremost expert in scare no-nos. Since we've been on the COVID, train, we don't really review new horror movies. We're hitting a lot of the classics here. Last week we brought you our long-awaited release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this week we are bringing you, that's right, the original, the one that almost started it all, Friday the 13th from 1980. Before we get into the review, I'd like to do a few plugs for us. Check us out at horrormovietalk.com. That's our website, and from there you can find links to all our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, the Tube, all of those. Reddit. Check out our subreddit if you'd like some meaty discussion, I guess, with us.
Sure.
We do post new episodes every single Wednesday, so make sure you subscribe and leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts because that helps us out. Just a whole heaping bunch. We're making progress. We got a few extra ones today. I really appreciate everybody who does that.
What we really need is about 90 ratings before September.
That'd be great.
Is what we need. So not quite doubling what we have right now, but we make a little progress.
I mean, Robert Englund's name's got to get us something, right? So there you go. So another plug that I'd like to add to the starter roll is we are going to be doing some promo work for a new Adult Swim show called JJ Villard's Fairy Tales, which premieres on May 10th at midnight. So you guys make sure and check that on Adult Swim. I believe, don't quote me on this because I haven't gotten an official answer yet, but I believe you can also catch it on the Adult Swim app, which is free and has a ton of high-quality Adult Swim content. I watch it. I watched Metalocalypse the other night because I'm a huge metalhead. We've got a great show for you guys today. We'll start out by talking about Friday the 13th. We'll give a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge where it makes you angry that you had to sit through it, 5 being an average enough film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good that it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. And as I said before, later, we have an interview with JJ Villard, who is the creator of JJ Villard's Fairy Tales, which premieres May 10th on Adult Swim. Man, that show it's
pretty fucked up.
It's pretty fucked up. It's like you know what it's like is Adventure Time on a killing spree. It's exactly that. I was watching Adventure Time with my daughter this morning, and I was like, oh, that JJ Villard's Fairy Tales is like ultra, like, shit down, like, cut off your head and shit down your neck Adventure Time. It's just got a ton of horror movie references.
Yeah, it's really twisted.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the interview, he talks about how the standards and practice people gave him, like,
no poop
limitations. He's like, what was it?
It was no fart jokes or something
No
like that.
fart jokes, no, like, bodily function, or it was, like, very, very tame stuff.
Yeah.
And how he got around it is so much more disturbing.
So he's like eating blackheads.
Yeah.
And
giant blackheads shooting into your mouth with force and then chewing them down.
No farts, though. None of that.
No farts.
And then after the interview with JJ Villard, we also will have a bit, It Came From Social Media, where we talk about what you guys did to us over social media over the last week. So, as I mentioned, we watched the original Friday the 13th on Shudder, and while it definitely represents the film version of Pulp, it's the original upon which so many slashers have been based. It delivers in a charming way, and the twists are still impressive, or I should say the twist is still impressive after all these years. Its 40th birthday will actually be this Saturday, so yeah, a couple days away from the release of this episode. It's May 9th of 2020 will be its 40th birthday. Wow. So let's take a look or a listen to the trailer.
Hello? Who's that? Oh, hi. What are you doing out in this mess?
1, 2, 3.
We weren't doing anything. We were just messing up.
4. 5. 6.
'Must be my imagination.
7.
Can I help you? Hello?
8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Friday, the 13th. You may only see it once, but that will be enough. Friday, the 13th.
22, 23, 24.
It'd be great if you could redo that in the Sesame Street count voice.
Oh yeah, 1,
1. 1.
Man, too long being a dad. So, I realized that we didn't give any context to Robert Englund introing us.
Well, you kind of mentioned it. So we got reached out to from the, what would you call it? The representation of this new show called JJ Villard's Fairy Tales.
Yeah.
And so they're just reaching out and to see if we wanted to interview the creator and maybe some of the talent. The talent includes some people you might have heard of.
A few little names here and there.
Voice talent includes Linda Blair, Robert Englund, Warwick Davis.
You know, just a few.
Corey Feldman,
you know, not
Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, man.
Like
Big Titty Tilly.
And the guy that did the voice for Skeletor. I can't remember his name. So anyways, we accepted, and you'll hear the interview with JJ Villard here, but then
next week,
we really lucked out and were able to interview Robert as well, and you'll hear that next week. The full interview with Robert Englund, where he graciously gives us that drop, and then we'll also be reviewing Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
seems
hitting all
apropos.
Yeah, hitting the big three, or at least two of the big three. Actually, the big definitely. So
yeah, if we get
three of the big five,
if we're able to get Linda Blair, I mean, maybe it's not outside of the realm of possibility.
Fucking forget about it.
And then we'll release the Exorcist episode that we just barely recorded.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so make sure to tune in next week as well, because we do have an interview with Robert fucking Englund. Yeah! Oh my God! Freddy Krueger. Freddy goddamn Krueger talks in explicit detail about his vacation home in New Mexico.
Yes.
And
thorough detail. If you want to hear what Freddy Krueger thinks of the state of New Mexico,
or fly fishing in general, stay tuned. Stay tuned. So Friday the 13th is the story, and it's not, the irony is not lost on me that we're talking about Freddy in, adjacent. This is just classic Freddy versus Jason stuff right here. So,
right.
Although Friday the 13th, the original, doesn't feature Jason so much as a staple as the sequels do. Spoilers. Friday the 13th is the story of a group of teen counselors who are setting up a summer camp at Camp Crystal Lake, previously known as Camp Blood. It details the short story of the final days of these teen counselors. We also get a glimpse into small-town Americana, which is unbearably quaint. There isn't a lot of story to this one, and that's kind of the point. My review of Friday the 13th is pretty, is about as short and sweet as the synopsis of it. This was the first independent film of its time to secure distribution in the U.S. by a major studio. That's Paramount. So this was an independent film that got picked up.
Really?
Right away.
I did not know that.
The studios saw this and they went, holy shit. And it started a bidding war. And, was set a precedent there. It was directed by Sean S. Cunningham, who went on to write and produce many of the sequels, and written by Victor Miller. Now, interesting little side note about Victor Miller here. He actually went on to write, his writing career consists almost exclusively, I believe, if I recall this correctly, of Friday the 13th sequels. That being said, he is famously quoted as saying, I never watched any of them. Why is that? Well, he took an issue with the killer of the first one not being the killer of the sequels. So he had a problem with Jason. Just so happened that he wrote all the sequels. So there you go. A lot of the sequels, or co-wrote. Friday the 13th was the second of the big franchise slashers to hit the scene following the success of 1978's Halloween. This movie birthed so many tropes and trends that it's almost comical. It is also great to see Kevin Bacon in one of his earliest and sexiest, I think, roles.
Yeah, you really, really get to see the outline of Kevin Bacon's dick in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of dick root going on.
Yeah.
Oh man, and his back, he looks so strong.
All right,
like you could just fold me up and just Just cuddle, you know?
It's making me uncomfortable. But yes.
While Friday the 13th is no crowning achievement in filmmaking, it does set the stage for 80s horror very nicely, with a parade of sexy but disposable characters, great practical effects by Tom Savini, and tense music by Harry Manfredini. Friday the 13th is a classic that is only dwarfed, in my opinion, by the sequel, Friday the 13th Part 2. If you haven't seen this movie, don't expect to be totally blown away or anything. Instead, expect to gain a better understanding of the foundation of the slasher genre, because this is basically the second big cookie cutter slasher to hit the scene following Halloween. What did you think of Friday the 13th?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most impressive film to watch. When you reverse engineer slashers and you get back to its beginnings, there's nothing really unique.
Right.
Or, I mean, I guess with this one, there is something a little unique in the twist.
Well, not only that, but they do take the camera and put the audience in the place of the killer, which I don't believe had really been done before.
I thought Halloween did that.
It kind of did.
They did the camera work and then the breathing through, and Black Christmas did that too.
Yeah, I guess you're right. This definitely, it was a staple of this.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it took the subgenre and refined it into the essentials.
Yeah, it packaged it.
It really did away with any pretense of story or character development or anything like that.
Here's some titties.
Yeah.
Check them out.
Look at all these fun people.
Just free balling it.
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're
good to look at.
All you care. There's an older one.
Yeah. You don't care about them.
What about them? What are their hopes and dreams? Who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
They're all gonna die.
Yeah, I don't name anybody in this because I don't like. I've seen this movie, I don't know, 4 or 5 times throughout my life, and I can't remember anybody's fucking name.
There's people that can.
I'm sure there is. Yeah, people who are good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, I come into it from seeing mostly the parodies and the remakes, the movies that are subverting the tropes of it.
Yeah. And
it's weird to see how strong those tropes are established in this. Like the Judd character, the harbinger of doom, is like such a harbinger of doom. Yeah. It's like, you're all doomed.
Yeah.
You're all gonna die. Doomed. It's like, all right, we get it. Okay. It's like, all right. I mean, if you were the first audience for this, you'd just be like, Jesus. Like, it's just so ripe for mockery. It's surprising that it took till the 90s till like it really got taken apart.
Yeah.
And even like Cabin in the Woods and even modern horror comedies are really using those same tropes that are established in this film.
Yeah.
That being said, I have made it no secret that I'm not a huge fan of slashers.
Right.
So
I don't think either of us are the biggest fans of slashers.
I kind of get that it does a couple new unique things and establishes some new things, but to me they're not particularly interesting because I'm just not really affected by slashers as much because I just know everyone's gonna die.
I really dig the historical significance of this movie more than most horror movies because it has so many cool, like you said, it sets the tropes up so heavily.
Yeah.
And then also it's such a sign of the times kind of thing, comes out right after, it's got like the Empire twist, right? The Empire Strikes Back twist of like,
oh, right.
You know, and then, I don't know. And it's just such a little, it's like a snow globe, you know? Yeah. It's like this perfectly comprised and packaged little thing. And it started, or it helped start, you know, just this bevy of sequels.
Yeah, it's one of those things where with these movies that start off franchises in the horror genre, it's usually just unlocking the new idea or new setting that you can just build as a foundation going forward. And so this one, I don't know how long they kept up the trope, but I mean, setting it in a summer camp is such a simple idea.
It's so simple.
It's just so perfect.
It's brilliant. And to be honest with you, that's 90% of my love of this movie is I love the summer camp vibe.
Yeah.
I like everything it stands for.
And then so like for Friday the 13th, the thing is like he's in your dreams. Like the
Elm
killer.
Street.
Yeah, Elm Street. In Elm Street, Freddy is in your dreams, so you can't escape it. And they can just build a whole franchise off of that.
Yeah.
In Halloween,
here's this
unstoppable force.
This blank but unstoppable object.
Yeah.
And then with Friday the 13th, you have like mommy issues, you know, and revenge, like true revenge. Like Jason is all about getting back at the people who did him wrong or his wrong.
Right. Yeah. So I get it. It's good for what it is, but I just don't care that much. What do you give it as a score?
Yeah, I'm going a pretty strong 7 on this one. It's not, like I said, this is no crowning achievement in film. I mean, it stands for a lot of cool things and it set up a lot of cool stuff, but in terms of just being a good movie, it's not the best, but it holds my attention to this day. And there are so many moments in this movie where I'm just engaged with, bitch, get out the house. Like, there's so much of me being like, turn off the lights. What's the matter with you? It's got so much of like this dumb bitch.
This has the most ineffectual dumb final girl of any movie that I've seen.
God,
the final girl in this movie is just like comically inept.
Yeah. Deserving.
And it actually starts out early, and I almost wonder how intentional it is with these things, and like how much I should appreciate the meta humor of this, or if it's like unintentional. So we'll talk about that in a second.
We'll get into that. It's I don't want to forget to mention, like, this was a really controversial movie. Like, Siskel and Ebert like went on hard record like, this is garbage. This stands for everything that's wrong with movies. This is an exploitation film, and it sets up women to be weak, and it's like
all things that we love.
Right. But that's specifically not what it is, right? You know, it flies in the face of that, and it tries to. I don't know. There's so much interesting stuff surrounding this. So anyway, what do you give it? I gave it a 7.
I'm going to give it an 8.
Oh, wow.
Which is a little generous. I'm trying to give it a little boost from some of the unique elements that it introduces, and I genuinely think that the ending is interesting.
It is interesting.
It elevates it to a point where it's like, okay, this is, you know, it's significant. It's a tentpole, you know, start to a franchise. So I'd feel bad about giving it a 7, but
that's fair.
I mean, yeah, 8 sounds fair to me. I wouldn't understand if anyone gives us a 10 out of 10 though. If this is like one of the best movies of all time. I realized as I was
you could chalk that up to nostalgia, you know.
Yeah. I realized like how ungenerous we are with our ratings sometimes.
Really?
And I think I cracked the code of why that is.
Why?
Because I think I treat it as a bell curve. So like
I don't so much.
For me, it's like it's a total bell curve. Everything is going to group around 5.
Right.
And that's kind of what you see with like IMDb ratings anyways.
Well, yeah.
But for me, it's all going to group around 5, and then the outliers, the exceptional, are going to be on either side of the tail.
Right.
So, I mean, 8 is pretty good in my eyes, but it's not like blew me away.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I don't treat it so much as a bell curve. I have in the past, and I don't enjoy the feeling of giving it those scores.
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know. It's so, I mean,
it's more scientific, but less satisfying.
Right. But also it's like score for a movie. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. I think like really to make it more interesting, it would be like, if you give anything an 8, you should give it a 10. Right. If you give anything like a 3, you should give it a 1. Like, like that's what.
Well, I
think
think that's sensationalizing. You know, I think that leads. I think that's a path that leads to ruin.
We should rate on a curve. We should take a record of all of our ratings.
We should get everything
for
a 5.
The year, and then just like grade it like a teacher. You know, that just
this is enough.
Cuts out.
That's enough. But okay. I will say, Friday the 13th. Like 8 of them are available right now on Shudder. And if you just head over to shudder.com, SHUDDER.com, and enter HMT for Horror Movie Talk at checkout, then you get 30-day free trial, and you get to watch the first one and the better second one. And Bryce just watched the first one and second one, I think, both last night. Yeah.
It's also on Amazon Prime right now. Oh, shit. So you don't need to sign up for Shudder if you don't want to. Shudder has a lot of other good movies right now.
Texas Chainsaw still on there.
Yeah, they're celebrating the middle point of Halloween, so halfway to Halloween. So they've got The Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw, all the Friday the 13th.
Not all of them, but 8 of them. Yeah, a lot of them.
So Amazon has a ton of them as well. So that's where you can find them.
So check that out. Those are our scores. You guys make sure, I'm just gonna blow through this emergency alert and say, listen, it's a tough time right now for movie theaters in general. We rely on movie theaters when we're not in a global pandemic, and to bring you guys reviews of new movies. So please go to your local movie theater, call them, ask what you can do to support them, and tell them HMT, Horror Movie Talk, sent you, and just be like, give Horror Movie Talk some love. Just give them some advertisement when this whole thing's done. Give them some time on your screen, and then buy a gift card, and they'll I'm sure that when this whole thing just blows through, we're just all gonna just go sit at the thing and have a pint, blah blah blah. Anyway, so make sure to support your local theaters. Also, if you'd like to support us, you can do so in two big ways by heading over to our website, horrormovietalk.com, and up at the top in the banner, 2 buttons. One says shop on Amazon. If you click that button and bookmark it and use it every time that you shop on Amazon during the pandemic, then you will, kick us some money. And nobody's been doing that recently, and it hurts my wallet. It hurts our wallet. And we need my children need wine. So you guys, the other way you can do it much more directly and has been working out very nicely recently is Patreon. If you guys want to support the show and get access to a bunch of exclusive Horror Movie Talk content, we got a whole nother podcast going on just exclusively on Patreon that you guys don't get to hear unless you're a Patreon member. And that's called the Afterpod, where we just leave the mics rolling and shoot the shit and talk about our week. And it's kind of a decompression podcast, and it's kind of nice. And just by the way, I'd like to say thank you to, this week has been very generous to us.
Yeah.
Dale of the Dead. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon member. Zach O. Thank you. Chris P. and Carrie
Day.
Carrie Day. Thank you, honey. I really appreciate you. She kept asking me, she's like, I want to hear the after pod. I was like, that's not how it works. I can't just get that. I literally cannot. There's no way for me to give you.
You can't gift.
I can't gift you a
tier.
Patreon tier. And she's like, well, what do I got to do to hear them? I was like, I guess become a Patreon member, thinking she'll never do that. And then she does it. The problem is I talk a lot of shit on there about her, and the jig is up, Bryce.
Yeah.
I think the afterpod's going to become different somehow.
I think my reaction and my delight over the fact that Carrie became a Patreon is sending unwanted signals to my wife. She's like, well, what do you talk about on there? We mostly talk about Carrie.
Hell to the no. Hell no.
And then I think we thank Travis as well, but I just want to make sure we cover him if we haven't. Travis B also joined.
Yeah, you guys, like, seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, this has been a very nice week for us with all you joining Patreon. And, we do produce a free product every week for, everyone to listen to. And if you can help us out by supporting us on Patreon or through purchasing things on Amazon, we sure do appreciate it. I already mentioned Shudder. Enter HMT at checkout. That gets you a 30-day free trial of Shudder, which is a horror streaming service. You can also check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel, who's a professional artist who fucks with the best of them. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. So make sure to contact him at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram and make your artistic dreams come true. Make sure to tell him HMT sent you. Man, he just released the coolest piece of art I've seen.
Yeah, he did a commission of the
Cannibal the Musical poster.
I don't know if it's a direct off the poster, if he took a bunch of...
Oh, no. I think this is like an original.
Yeah. And it is awesome. It's like, I don't know. I can't describe it. You have to see it. It's got all the like notable scenes represented in this poster style.
Yes, it's fabulous. It's like a collage of all the notable moments in Cannibal the Musical, which if you guys, don't know, that is
Trey Parker's like original student film. Yeah,
that's Trey Parker and Matt Stone doing a musical, and it's it's very them. If you haven't seen, and also
it's crazy to think that they did Cannibal. It's a testament to, if you continue with creative endeavors, how good you can get.
You can get fucking good.
They started with Cannibal the Musical, which is funny and still holds up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, especially as a student film, like, it's really impressive. But these guys just did the Book of Mormon musical, which is a Tony Award winning, in my opinion, one of the best musicals of all time.
Well, I think you skipped a step here, Bryce.
Well, South Park.
They also did Orgasmo, so
yeah, that's true.
Which is another Mormon fun poking movie.
I still haven't seen Orgasmo.
Are you serious? Oh man, you need to watch it.
I should probably watch it.
It's brilliant.
I mean, even Cannibal the Musical was about Mormons too.
Wasn't it about the Donner part? Oh no, it was about the other Donner Party.
I think whoever they were talking about were actually Mormons, I think. Don't quote me on that.
I think they were probably
the French.
I think they were the French.
There was one French in it.
Yeah. So also you can support, if you liked our intro music, you can support Max Allen. That's at Max_Allen1235 on Instagram. Kid he's bomb ass talent in terms of audio.
Yeah, I need to reach out to him, tell him this. Well, he might hear it right now, but
he became a Patreon member recently too.
I'll tell you what, it pumps us up.
It sure does. Yeah, I get all fucking dancy.
Like it's different now starting the episode.
It sure is.
Because it's like a dance party in here when we play that new intro.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll luck out and he'll make maybe he'll make one with like ripping, like shredding guitars, like wheel diddle 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 diddle. You know? Wheel. Here, let's isolate this. Wheel diddle 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 diddle. Okay. Yeah,
okay.
There you go.
Max, work your magic.
You know what to do.
We'll have to commission him to do some other intros.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a little taste of that. Okay, and without any further ado, let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. Oh yeah. So Friday the 13th, the 1980 original is the first movie in a franchise of 12 movies, with a franchise worldwide total box office earning of $466 million. And the first one is, I think, one of the most profitable movies, slashers ever. The Halloween franchise. So to give you guys an idea of where the big three stand. So 466 million. That's Friday the 13th. All the movies. Halloween franchise comes in at 618 with 13 movies to its name. $618 million worldwide total box office. And Nightmare on Elm Street comes in at just a smidge under Friday the 13th at $448 million, but only with 9 movies. So 3 less than Friday the 13th, and just about the same take. So
it's weird when you look at box office numbers. Like, I need to do a blog post about this, but there's this phenomenon. I look when you look at if you see numbers for production costs versus how much they make, it's like the law of diminishing returns after the production is more than 5 million.
Yeah.
Like, if you go more than 5 million on a slasher, it's just kind of like, what? Just don't money
into, just churning.
You can get more money out of it, but the profit margin narrows because people don't really care about production value in a slasher as much.
Yeah, it is a weird thing. And you don't necessarily get a better product either. No. Like, that diminishing return is because also the product feels fucked out or like overproduced or something like that.
Yeah. What's really the utility of CGI in a slasher?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
But yeah, it's interesting to see how profitable these can be when they're, plucky little movies and people get behind them.
Yeah. I mean, first off,
then they grow into bloated, like corpses of an idea. They're like, this is so fucked out, but we gotta put out Jason. I was talking to our one of our resident bloggers, Keith Harris, the other day on the phone, and I love talking to him because it's like you bounce ideas off of him, and he's an encyclopedia of memories and recollections of all these kinds of things. And he's got so many cool takes on it because he's thought about it so much. And I was like, we were into talking about the slashers, and I was like, of the big like 5. So we'll say Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare, Hellraiser, and Child's Play. That's what I kind of contend are the big 5 or 6 franchise slashers. Which is which holds up the best? And he kind of said the same thing that I've held, which is, well, what's yours of those 5? What you said? Child's Play, Hellraiser, Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Nightmare.
Yeah. Like what seems to hold up the best?
It's not fair because I've only seen like 1 or 2 of each of those. Out of the concept,
you've seen the best of all of them, though. To be fair,
maybe
you have.
See, I've only seen the first Hellraiser, and I've heard that the sequels to Hellraiser just the quality falls off a fucking cliff.
They drop off quite a bit later, though. Like, I think the second one's okay, but the third one is kind of a hot mess, if I recall. I don't remember. We're neither of us are big slasher fans, so just chill the fuck out. Right.
I mean, Hellraiser is a strong movie.
It is.
On its own.
Yeah.
And super unique in its feel. I mean, I kind of prefer the more fantastical and supernatural, so I'd probably lean more towards Nightmare or Child's Play.
Okay. Yeah, I think Keith and I both said Child's Play.
Yeah.
Like, just in terms of strong entries the whole way through, first of all. Second of all, super upsetting concept. If you go back and watch the first Child's Play, it is so dark.
Yeah.
It's much darker than you remember it being a doll, a cute little doll that kills people. It is a legitimate serial killer who hates the child that loves this little doll and just wants to just fucking stab him in the face. And it's just like, ugh, it's so gross. And the creative crew behind it really stuck together. Like, the guy who created it created all of them almost,
right,
with the exception of the 2019 one.
Yeah. Same voice for all
and
of them
same
too,
voice.
except for the 2019.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I tend to be a bigger fan of Child's Play, but I'd say Friday the 13th is I'm not so partial to Halloween.
Yeah.
I don't feel it.
Yeah. I think that in terms of like character, it's hard to argue against Freddy. Like, Freddy is like the strongest character. Chucky is really good.
Yeah, he's great.
But Freddy is like, I mean, that's just a scary mutated face guy with knives for fingers.
Freddy begins to contend with himself. This was another point that Keith made. He's like, Freddy is such a spectacular personality that he actually starts getting in the way of the later movies. And I don't know because I haven't seen many of them, but he's like, there's a point where it just becomes absurd, and the personality brings you out of the terror because it's just so much Freddy. And I can see that, but yeah, I mean, they all have their good points and stuff. And I don't know. I'm interested to know what our fans think. What do you guys...
Hi, Robert England here, a.k.a. Freddy fucking Krueger.
Sorry, Robert. We love you.
We love
Freddy.
Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's all great stuff. And I'm beginning to, really kind of take a shine to slashers a little bit more than I had before. They didn't shape me so much.
I mean, I think what they are is like, they're better appreciated in groups and in bulk. Yeah. Like, it's better taking them all
and
together
nostalgia.
within context.
Yeah.
Because none of them alone are that interesting, but like seeing how a franchise develops and like gets more extreme and then jumps the shark is the interesting part of it.
Yeah. Yes. And that
where it starts out with like, hey, it's a fun story about a summer camp, and like, it has a weird past. What's the mystery behind the past? Oh, there's a reveal at the end too. Jason in space.
Keith was saying, there's a part in Jason in Space where you can tell where it's so obvious. Like, he goes into this teleporter or something like that. He travels through time or dimensions or something like that. And he ends up at this camp, and these girls are like, oh, he's going to kill us. Did he want to fuck us first? Ha ha ha. And it's like the writers looking directly at the audience and winking and being like, we know what we did. Like, we know what this is. So do you. Where it just becomes so gratuitous and ridiculous that even the writers start giving up any like, facade that they're
undeniably a slasher would be the funnest to write.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As is evidenced by Thanksgiving. I really enjoy the summer camp setting. I think the summer camp setting is what Friday the 13th, first of all, brought to the scene, and then also really just, it works in this movie. And
Did you go to summer camp as a kid?
I did. I went to a few. West Coast summer camps are much different than East Coast summer camp. East Coast summer camps are like summer, like 2 months or something like that.
Yeah.
West Coast summer camps are like a week or two.
Yeah. See, I went to Boy Scout camp.
Okay.
And there's not as much fucking in Boy Scout camp as in,
You'd be surprised, Brian.
God
damn, look at those hot children.
I feel like I'm gypped because, like, there's no girls at Boy Scout camp.
No, yeah.
Boy Scouts.
Gross.
But yeah, that was my experience. And it's like not the same.
Yeah.
Because it's like Boy Scout camp's almost like working. Yeah. Like, you got to get all these merit badges. You got to get it while the getting's good. Because that's where I got like 90% of my merit badges for my scouting.
Okay.
Because I would never do it outside of Boy Scout camp.
Yeah, you couldn't. You were a Mormon, so you had to do Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
They tried to trick me with that fucking shit Weebelo school, and they were like, time to make a bird feeder. And I was like, fuck you assholes, give me a knife. And they were like, we're just Weebelos. And I was like, this is the worst trade agreement ever.
Well, you got to take the
I quit that
safety,
shit.
the knife safety course, which
Fuck
is
you.
called oh my god, what is it called?
The knife safety.
Is it fire and shit?
The knife safety course is called Growing Up in My House with My Dad. Sorry about that.
Anyways, summer camp is a great setting.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it's like it stands for so many cool things. It's like the first time kids are like outside the bounds of like mom and dad, and it's kind of like there's this unnervingness of being alone for the first time. But in this movie, it's just the counselors. Yeah, they're just setting up the summer camp, which is even sexier. It's like cut out all the dumb bullshit. None of this playing around. It's just straight to the sex.
Right.
It's just like, let's get sweaty. And then they do. And Kevin Bacon's in it.
Yeah.
I also absolutely love the old town feel of the local town. Can you, when you watch a movie, you're like, oh, Dave is going to love this.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Did you call it on this one with the old town feel?
No.
Okay.
I don't know why I would. I haven't seen your love for old townness before.
The cafe, like the feeling of like this community that's like to get, like.
Yeah, it feels like a town that I'd stop by on the way to the Oregon coast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
they all know each other.
The forest opens up into like one gas station stop.
Yeah.
And there's like some kind of convenience store next to it.
There's Henry and over there's Maud, and it's another day of life in old town Americana. This is in New Jersey, by the way. And actually the camp that they filmed at for this movie is still in still a summer operation. It's still a summer camp.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there's like when we're at kind of, I don't know how much of the beats we really want to hit. This movie is so disposably.
Yeah, really, it's like
tropey.
The beginning with Judd.
Yeah.
Warning them.
Yeah.
Is notable, and the ending is notable. Everything in the middle is literally just unseen person killing a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah, just pulp. It's just silly pulp.
But yeah, Judd is so strong in this. You gotta leave.
Is his name Judd?
Uh-huh.
Oh, damn.
You're all doomed.
Wasn't it Judd in Pet Sematary as well? Wasn't that his actual name?
Well, yeah, Judd is the old elderly neighbor guy.
Like, don't go in that pet cemetery. You gotta leave. Don't go in there.
As he's leading him to the pet cemetery.
Check out this pet cemetery.
Yeah, I'd like to imagine that Judd is like the broken clock syndrome, where like he just tells everyone that they're doomed.
Yeah.
And to get out of town.
Judd. He tells everyone they're doomed.
And that, 99.9% of the time, nothing happens to anyone he says that
Basically
to.
a Rick and Morty character who walks up to people and he's like, so he says something to Rick and Morty. He's like, you're doomed. And then like some gigantic, space monster comes out and like grabs them and pulls them into another dimension. Then the camera focuses back in on Judd and he's like, you're doomed, to a chicken who just like pecking at the ground, and it's like,
Right.
there's nothing happens. Mostly nothing ever happens, but Judd gets enough zingers off that he believes in himself.
Right.
So the setup for this is really super typical. The girl heads to camp, and she's warned by Judd that she won't live because there's a death curse on the camp. And why is there a death curse?
How is there a death curse on this camp when there was just like a killing 5 years ago?
God damn, look at those hot children.
What would it be?
Calm down.
I guess it would be, how many years before was it from the setting? Anyways,
It was like 30 years ahead.
Yeah, so it was,
Or 20.
yeah, so like 20 years ago, 2 people got killed. Therefore, this camp is cursed for all time.
So it begins in 57. A boy drowns.
Right.
Jason Voorhees drowns because the camp counselors were busy making out. And that's no good.
And then 2 camp counselors get murdered.
Then the year after that, in 58, that next year, 2 of the counselors get murdered.
Therefore, it's cursed.
And then
for
in
all
62, a bunch of buildings burned down.
time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
I guess that's true.
So, it was just like this spree of like year after year. Shit started happening after Jason Voorhees died, which I don't get why. But the start of this, like the first half hour, is super easy breezy, and it starts with a lot of fun flirting, and it's very similar to what we were talking about in Quarantine, where it's just, I love the feeling of the easy breezy start.
Yeah, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl.
Yeah.
So the one standout moment in this, and tell me if this stood out to you, in the very beginning, where the girl, which I think ends up being the final girl,
Okay.
is nailing a gutter into the side of a building. Mm-hmm. Did you get a kick out of how ineffectually she was moving that ladder?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just like she comes down, she's kind of just like looking back and forth, like I don't know what to do with my hands, because she's waiting for like the next thing to happen in the scene.
It's almost like she was a star in an independent horror movie.
Yeah, and she's like kind of touching the ladder but not moving it, and she's like, yep, just gotta, I'm working here. She's like patting the top of it. And then she moves it literally like half an inch and then climbs back up to nail another nail. Did you notice?
I'm so envious.
Was that awkward to you?
I'm so envious of your ability to focus. I really am.
It comes in and out, because that one drew me out. It felt so much like this is someone vamping actions in a scene, because she can't just like
Imagine not knowing how to just basically do things.
or just stop. That's also an option. It's just like climb down the ladder, put an arm on it, and look at the guy talking to you, as opposed to like, I guess just, kind of quarter fold up this ladder, kind of like adjust it, like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they all feel with the
it's funny because it feels so ineffectual, and like she doesn't know what she's doing, and I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but at the end of the film, when she's the last girl, she is the most ineffectual last girl of any movie, and it's all that kind of stuff.
Everything. Like, I'm going to barricade the door.
I'm going to pick up a fork. This will be my salvation.
Yeah. So the whole way through this movie, the audience is put in the position of the killer as the camera makes its way stalking through the camp.
Yeah, first person perspective on a lot of the shots, but it also plays with it because it's not always like, it can't always be actually the killer watching, because sometimes it's way too close.
Well,
and sometimes it's like they do a reverse shot and there's no one there.
We are in the spoilers section.
Yeah.
So the end of this movie, we learn the reason why all the killings happened is because Jason Voorhees' mother, Mrs. Voorhees, has been killing people there, but to get revenge on those who she blames for the death of her son, for not watching her son while he was drowning in Camp Crystal Lake. Now, a lot of the controversy surrounding this movie and a lot of the reviews that I read and a lot of the critical analysis that I read was offended by the bait and switch or the twist ending.
Really?
Because a lot of these camera shots where you are placed in the eyes of the killer, you get views of boots. You get views of gloves. Gloved hands. And so automatically your mind goes, oh, this is a man. Mm-hmm. But at the end, it turns out, oh, no, this is a woman.
It's like the music video, Smack My Bitch Up.
Smack My Bitch Up. This is exactly where I was going with this.
Sorry for ruining it.
It's not. So the movie intentionally made it very difficult to critique the movie as exploiting women.
Right.
Because it's a woman doing so fuck you. And got him. And it does it by setting your expectations, by making you the sexist. By going, oh, a woman can't wear gloves or work boots. Mm-hmm. But then at the end, boom. Oh, well shit. It was a woman the whole time. A woman stabbing all these people. It's
one of the greatest female empowerment movies of all time.
It really is. And it doesn't get any it doesn't get any credit for being like, that is clever. It's clever and it's a big fuck you. It is a big middle finger to the critical community, which we're a part of. And hey, fuck us. Like, we're nothing special. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty cool twist. There's a part in this where one of the girls has the most fucking metal dream I've ever heard of. And I love it. She's like, I had a dream last night where there was a storm and the rain was so loud and the rain was blood and it's all I could hear. And then she begins to make it with bacon.
And it turns into rivers of blood.
Rivers of blood. God damn, that's the most Slayer goddamn song ever.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Slayer. Rip in peace, Slayer.
I gotta correct myself. It's not Judd, it's Ralph.
Oh, damn. You've been
Ralph.
Fucking it up the whole time.
Going back to Ralph. I love that he bikes away. For some reason, that's just delightful. He gets on his bike and...
You gotta, like, huff it out of there instead of, like... Instead, you're... up the hill. So then after she tells this fucking metal dream about, like, rivers of blood and rain that's so loud you can't hear, then she begins to make it with bacon. And...
and then on the top bunk... Unbeknownst to them, is a dead body of one of their friends.
Yeah.
And I thought it would have been a great choice.
Yeah, they didn't make use of that.
If this was made today, if I made it, I would have made Kevin Bacon's character notice the dead body.
Yeah.
And then just be like,
I'm about to make it with this girl. And she's a fucking stone cold fox.
Let's discover this body after we fuck.
Yeah.
And then have them be like, oh no, what?
Then they get in their van and...
See you later,
buddy. So Bacon... God, you see a lot of his dick root going on here.
Yeah, a lot of outline. Like, it was very Sleepaway Camp-esque in terms of, like, bulge outline.
Slashers gave us some fucking badass actors. We got Johnny Depp in Nightmare. We got Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. We got Bacon, Friday the 13th. And then I think there's I can't think of anyone else.
There's lots of people.
Yeah,
Paul Rudd is in one of the Halloweens.
Yeah, Paul Rudd. Yeah. So like Halloween 5 or something like that.
It's one of the worst ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get too far, there's another...
Or maybe it's... Oh, okay, go ahead.
I just have a couple things in the middle of it that were notable to me. So they discover this snake in one of the cabins. Mm-hmm. And I just want to point out, like, one of the girls uses a pillow to try to beat the snake.
Uh-huh.
And I love the idea how ineffectual a pillow... Our pillows are useless against it!
Just like, really? Really? You dumb idiot. Yeah, so this is like, I think the thing about the Friday the 13th series is it's the sexiest of them. Like it shows the most skin. It has the hottest girls. It's got Kevin Bacon's full ass. You get to see his ass. It's great.
Okay.
So you know, I mean, I'm not guaranteeing nothing. But
yeah, I mean,
it's a good.
I must say, nice, like, nice I almost wonder. So I watched the first and the second Friday the 13th back to back last night, and it feels like one of the choices they made is that they chose smaller chested women to represent younger girls. So did you notice that maybe they get bigger as time goes on, but like there was a type for these Friday the 13th females.
Sure. I mean I think
there was nothing bigger than like a B cup.
Now hang on here. I think a weird thing started happening in the mid 80s and definitely in the 90s where suddenly like everything is expected to be like big tits, tiny waist, like this super like stereotypical, and you hear it in the people of that generation, right? So like Adam Carolla, who we both had listened to for a long time, he like, I know his lane of women, and it's the lane of women that a lot of basically Xers, like early Xers love, and like my dad too, like some boomers, a lot of boomers too, which is like, I don't want a girl with a big butt. I just want like this shapely, like little wafy sort of thing, kind of thing. And so I think it's a sign of the times more than anything else, where it's like, what is appreciated the most, which is like a hard body, you know? And that's, you're right. They're definitely little hard bodies.
I'm just saying that not all body types were represented in this movie.
No, and don't get me wrong, I'd appreciate some ass on them, but they were sexy as hell. Particularly the girl who's making it.
I was like, damn, nigga, what you doing out here with all this ass? Yeah. Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass. The sun is still out, my nigga.
I'm not discriminatory. Like, women are beautiful to me. Period.
Right.
And Bacon's. Did I mention that Bacon is kind of naked in this?
All right.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you did.
Sorry, I'm starting getting on Bryce's nerves. There's a lot of this that I don't know that is necessarily.
Can I ask a question,
please? In
this movie, there's a scene with strip Monopoly.
Yeah.
Has anyone played strip anything at any time in real life? Like I
did.
That feels like such a movie thing.
I did.
You did?
Yeah. I think it was in grade school or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just like so. Like, it was so titillating, just the thought of it, that I probably just creamed right there. I was just like, it's like, you know, just, it's one of these things that a kid would find very, but then once you get to be of age, it's like,
I can't imagine
any
teenager that would be cool with that. Like, I think teenagers, even if like super good looking and horny teenagers, like would be very self-conscious to get undressed in front of a group of people.
Yeah. Although, you know,
so were there girls at this strip? Whatever. What was it? Strip.
I think
Yahtzee
it was actually
or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there were. But I don't think any of the crowds that I ran with. The Simpson crowd that I ran with would, and probably your crowd too. Definitely not strip type.
Well, I'll be damned. So let us know if you've ever played strip anything in the comments or on social
and
media.
Pictures are welcome. Videos too. So a lot of. So let's just skip to the end where the girl's barricading the door. and we get like this 4-minute expose of her like tossing loose furniture against a door, and me just being like, that's not structurally sound at all.
Yeah,
and then
she's
in a building made of windows.
She loosely ties a rope around the doorknob with like plenty of slack. It's not stopping anything. And then she piles up a pile of furniture and stuff. Not like really building a barricade, just kind of like putting a lackadaisical pile in front of it. And the door swings out.
No, it does not.
It does.
Oh, no.
That's why she was tied.
Oh, that's why she tied. Oh.
The rope made sense.
Okay.
But it was very poorly executed.
I'll tell you why this works. Is because, okay, so there's two ways to do this. The way they did it, which is to show a no-cut scene of a real girl flailing to accomplish a task that she was not the best at.
Right.
That's one way. The other way is to show a bunch of cuts where you put the chair under the thing, and then you put a thing on top of the chair, and then you put another thing, and then you have a solid piece that's going to keep somebody out. That's not gonna accomplish the worry that I felt while I see this girl ineffectively putting together this barricade that could not stand up to the task at all.
Right.
Instead, I'm sitting there going, I'm very engaged. I'm like, what the? No, do it better. Like, I'm like full on husband mode where I'm just like, just put the, no, sweetie, you got to think about it in terms of Lego blocks, okay? We want to make a structurally sound structure. And
then she goes into the kitchen, and instead of like pulling out a butcher knife or some kind of like, you know, like a rolling pin, anything effectual, she goes for like the meat fork.
She goes for the garlic press.
The two-tine the two-tine fork, which she immediately drops at the first like sign of danger.
And then her hand opens.
And then she's chased around by the killer. And then at one point she gets in the Jeep, which I think might even be running. But it's like she could just drive off.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a dead body.
Oh, this is okay. This is my.
There's a dead body in the passenger seat, and she just freaks out and runs away. So,
yeah,
make note, kids. The best theft deterrent of any vehicle is just leaving the dead body of some chick in the passenger side.
There you go.
No one's going to steal it.
Just travel with a dead body in your car. Yeah, no, public service announcement. If you're ever in a life or death situation and you happen to find a vehicle, but the vehicle has a dead body in it, don't scream and run away. Just push the dead body out the car and go.
Just drive away with the dead body.
Or just...
Who fucking cares?
Yeah, get away. I don't care if you have to jump into the skin of the dead person and then use their foot to press the gas.
Just sit on their lap and drive the car. Who cares?
All that washes off, and we have cures for most diseases. Except for the COVID.
Yeah. COVID-19!
Oh, yeah. Actually... What?
Have you not seen that Kenneth Copeland clip? Oh my God!
No, I haven't.
I gotta pull this up. Is this like televangelist that has the most ridiculous clip of this whole thing? Yeah.
Okay, so let me think here. This girl makes every mistake in the book, and yet she manages to get away multiple times. And each time she keeps fucking up. Like, she turns on the lights in these cabins that she runs between the cabins, and then she turns the lights on. I'm like, bitch, what are you doing? I'm just so frustrated. And that's what makes the ending of this movie great. Is because the whole way you're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And it feels...
Bitch, get out the house!
Get out the house! She runs away the first time, and she gets into the woods where Mrs. Voorhees runs past her. And And then you think, okay, well, you're scot-free. You're in the limitless and randomized woods. No one can find you if you just hunker down under a log all night. No, she waits until Mrs. Voorhees walks past she gives it about a 3 count, and then she's like, I got to make my way back into that cabin I just ran out of. And it's like, what? You could be anywhere doing anything. You could be halfway to the road by now. It's great. It's great in how annoying it is.
Yeah. And then there's like a fight on the beach, and I mean, pretty good ending to this movie.
Yeah.
So it's so strong.
Yeah.
So she like feels like she escapes a couple times. Like that's another trope in these movies of the killer getting knocked down and apparently knocked out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're getting there. Apparently knocked out, and then they of course reappear.
Yeah.
And then the ending is ineffectual girl does one of the best things she could ever do, which is chop her fucking head off with a machete.
Yeah. Chops it right off. And Tom Savini did all the practical effects for this one. He put an axe through a girl's head. Looks fucking great. He did the head chop off with blood squirting out the top. Looks amazing. And, first though, she knocks her out, and to which the note that I wrote was, made head water fall out of Mrs. Voorhees. Head water always means bad bye-bye dead.
Yeah.
Head water always means bad bye-bye dead. And then there was the, so then you believe she's safe. She's floating around, she gets into a boat, she floats out in the lake, and you're like, and the police show up.
And like the music turns to like peaceful camp music, like, da-da-da, da-da-da, everything's fine.
Everything's happy. And then, you see her and she's like, I'm going to wave to the cops on the shore. And then, whammo! Jason comes flying up out of the lake. Big old, you smell that? You smell it?
Retard stink.
I'm not going to say the word, because I'm not. He just flies up out of the water, and he looks a little off. And he grabs her and pulls her under. And so there's kind of a jump scare ending.
Yeah, there's so many.
And it works really well. Like, I did not expect the jump scare ending the first time I saw this movie, and it fucking alarmed me.
Yeah. It is effective because it's completely nonsensical.
Yes.
And then it's another fake out because she wakes up in the hospital.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And then she's like, where did they ever find the boy?
No,
like,
what are you talking about?
That means he's still out there.
Dun, dun, dun,
and then gives like the, dead eye stare into the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, final recommendations, I think, I really don't see this as being something that anyone should avoid. I think everybody should probably see the original Friday the 13th and part 2.
I'm going to say the far superior movie still, in my eyes, is Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, Sleepaway Camp is great. Yeah. It's Sleepaway Camp. I cannot say enough good things about that movie in terms of, this movie breaks a lot of rules and makes a lot of people mad, but Sleepaway Camp breaks all the rules.
Yeah.
And is so not okay by today's standards that you have to give it its due, and it's delightful.
Yeah,
it even feels more charming and goofy than this.
Yeah,
much more.
Oh yeah, they go way over the top in Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, like
in every possible way, in dick outline, in cultural subversion.
So with that, hey, I'm going to intro our interview with JJ Villard.
Are we going to do final recommendations, or did we just do that?
We just did that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So now I'd like to intro the interview that we did with JJ Villard, who is
Villard.
Villard.
Sorry, I saw interviews with him. I pronounce it Villard.
Okay, Villard. From the new Adult Swim show airing May 10th at midnight, bearing his name, JJ Villard's Fairy Tales. And this show is right up our audience's alley. It's chock full of horror movie references. It's disgusting. It's like a fever dream.
Yeah. The first episode has lots of pop culture references, such as, the Dies Irae from The Shining. You've got, if you like Dr. Pimple Popper, there's something for you.
Big time.
If you like the comedian Gallagher and or Gallagher 2, you'll love this.
You mean the second the fake Gallagher who pretended to be Gallagher?
Well, do you know the actual story behind that?
Yeah. He's like the regional Gallagher.
Gallagher 2 is literally Gallagher's brother, and he bought Gallagher's act off of Gallagher. So he could only advertise himself as Gallagher 2, and then he started advertising as like Gallagher 2. And so Gallagher 1, I guess, sued him. I don't know. It's a funny
smaller,
story.
more regional Gallagher 2. Yeah, you guys got to check it out. Like I said, it'll help us out if you watch it, and I think you could probably view it on the Adult Swim app. So go ahead and download that, check it out on there, or just watch it on Adult Swim on May 10th at midnight. And with that, here's JJ Villard. Hey, JJ, how are you?
What's up, guys?
So my name's Bryce Hansen, and
I'm David Day, and we run a podcast called Horror Movie Talk, where we review horror movies old and new. And so we were lucky enough to kind of get a pre-screening of your new show, JJ Villard's Fairy Tales. And first of all, I'd just like to ask you, man, is everything okay?
Yeah, of course, man. Can't you tell?
I was just kind of lambasted with a lot of visually disturbing imagery that it just seemed like it might have been a call for help. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, that call for help went out a long time ago. This is just a little bit before the end. But how many episodes did you guys see?
I've watched the first two. I watched Boy Punzel and then also the Goldilocks Massacre.
Yeah,
sick. That's awesome.
And I've watched Boy Punzel. I didn't get to the other ones yet.
That's cool.
I got a quick question for you. I've been a big fan of animation for a long time. Simpsons, Venture Brothers, C-Lab 2020. Where did you come up with your style? It seems like it's a salvia trip dipped in acid. Have you seen Kuso? What's going on?
Well, what happened was I'll just be honest. I mean, I've been drawing forever, and then I went to cartoon college at the California Institute of the Arts for character animation. So, I mean, you're just drawing so fucking much, and then right from Cal Arts, I went into DreamWorks and worked on Shrek for like 3 years. And if you could hear the anger and just frustration in my voice when I say that, I mean, drawing Shrek over and over again, it makes you fucking crazy. And so I went on from Shrek to Monsters vs. Aliens to Peabody and Sherman and Trolls, and then that was it. When I worked on Trolls, I was like, I'm out. I can't take this anymore. So I hit up some people I knew at Adult Swim, and they were interested in a TV show, so I created King Star King in 2015. It aired. And it was just like a style that I liked doing at the time. And then I went on to I created this new show called JJ Villard's Fairy Tales, and I thought it would be cool to have charming, cute looking characters that's appealing to the audience, and have some just fucked up stories. So you're kind of tricking the audience, like how Michael Jackson tricked me in watching Thriller when I was a kid, and it scared the shit out of me.
I thought that could have taken a much darker turn about Michael Jackson tricking you. Well, that's really that's really interesting that your first big gig was Shrek, because that's also kind of an alternative take on a bunch of fairy tales. Is this like you lashing out from that experience of wanting to take it even further?
Yeah, I was speaking to Mike Lazo, the creator of Adult Swim, and I just said, Mike, did you know I worked on Shrek? And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I worked on Shrek 3 and 4. I fucking hated it. And he's like, channel that anger into these cartoons, JJ. And I was like, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I needed that motivation. So yeah, we did that.
Dude, you've got some serious horror talent, voice talent on listed as for some of your shows here. There's Linda Blair, there's Robert Englund, there's
Jennifer Tilly,
yeah.
Corey Feldman.
But how was it working with all these like horror classics?
Dude, they're the icons of horror films, and it was pretty much, it just went like this. I thought I need celebrities in my show, because what happened was, this is the honest to God truth. I created this pilot called Trap Universe, and I had this deep philosophy that we shouldn't use any actors in cartoons. Fuck what Pixar does. We should stay traditional and use real voice actors, people that, live off of doing cartoons. So I made Trap Universe the pilot, and it did not get picked up. That was 2 years of my life down the drain. Oof. So I completely re-visualized my thoughts of actors in animation, and I was like, fuck this, I need celebrities real quick. So with that said, I was like, what celebrities would I want to work with? And my favorite genre of film is horror. So I was just like, let's fucking start calling up the iconic horror people that are still around, and alive. I felt a little bit like Ed Wood using Bela Lugosi, but regardless, I hit up, and I'd say a good half of them said yes, but a lot of them said no. Hence the star of Evil Dead. I can't say his name, but you know what I'm talking about.
So, speaking of horror movies, what are your favorite horror movies, and were they an influence on this project?
Well, the most just like popular one is I went to Catholic school, so it was The Exorcist. That's my favorite horror film. Yeah. It scares the fuck out of me, but my second favorite is Basket Case, and then yes. It goes on from Cannibal Holocaust to my favorite TV show of all time is Tales from the Crypt. And I just got to work with a lot of, to get Kevin Van Hintenreich, and I can never say his last name right, who's the star of Basket Case. To work with him, that was just fucking insane, dude. It was bizarre. It was bizarre.
I was just talking, one of our bloggers, I was just talking to him the other day, Keith, and we were talking about like old classics, like Summer Camp, ones that are, Sleepaway Camp, that are like underappreciated, and like kind of like these little gems. And I brought up Basket Case to Keith, and he hadn't seen it yet. I was like, oh my God, you have to drop everything. It represents everything cool from the 80s. Horror filmmaking. It really does.
Yeah, that and Street Trash are just like two New York fucking films that are just like, it's so filthy. It makes Taxi Driver look like a Disney film. Yeah,
and Chud. Yeah, Chud in there too.
Yeah, Chud is gnarly. Yeah.
So watching your fairy tales, it looks like there's a couple different references pulled from all over pop culture. So you got some of the music from The Shining. You got references to Gallagher and or Gallagher 2 in the first episode. And maybe Dr. Pimple Popper was an influence.
Noxzema was a real true influence in this cartoon. But no, dude, it was crazy with the score from The Shining. I went to my composer and I said, I want this song in here. And if you can just make it sound somewhat like it, that'll be great. And he's like, JJ, are you kidding me? That song's almost 500 years old. It's public domain. And I was like, what? I thought Stanley Kubrick came up with that song himself. So that blew my mind. So I was so happy we could just straight up use that song. It was made by monks or whatever way back when. Yeah. it's just insane. And as far as like, you know, we were given restrictions from standards and practices, and the 3 main rules were no sex jokes, no religious jokes, and no fart and puke jokes.
What?
So,
Really?
What?
Yeah. So that, you know,
I'm thinking you might have made them make
so,
some new rules because of.
Yeah, and you know what? They made us come up with some more even disgusting stuff than any of those things. So it was a challenge in the writers' room to come up with new material with those restrictions. But I just think, like, when you look at Ren and Stimpy season 1, all the restrictions he was given and how funny that fucking cartoon turned out, those restrictions worked for him. Yeah. So limitations are a good thing, I feel like, when you're creating a show.
You know, it's funny that you bring up Ren and Stimpy, because when we were kind of getting ready for the interview, Bryce and I were talking about, you know, what we liked about your show, and I was like, I don't know where he gets his visual style from. I've seen similar kinds of super disturbing visual style. And then Bryce brings up Ren and Stimpy, and he's like, you know, those moments in Ren and Stimpy where it gets really, and SpongeBob does it too, where it gets really granular, and you get the veins, and it's like a still. And you had some moments like that in there too.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like, I was more of a Mike Judge like drawing style than Spumco, which is Ren and Stimpy. I never when I went to college, I never got into the Spumco drawing style. I liked the storytelling in Spumco and the ability to gross out the fucking viewer with those insane close-ups they did of like the inside of Ren or Stimpy's mouth. I mean, those things blew me away. But I never ever like drew like that. I don't know why. But Mike Judge, if you look at my student films, like especially The Son of Satan on YouTube, you can see it. You'll see the influence of Mike Judge and I mean, maybe a little bit of South Park, but definitely like Mike Judge. Yeah, those cartoons, they're all in our subconscious, you know. And it's so funny because the young millennials now, they're so into anime, and I like anime too. But my God, so much of the stuff that the younger dudes are doing is so anime looking that I'm just like, whoa, this is fucking different than the shit I was used to looking at.
Yeah, one of the other things, speaking of Mike Judge, or, you know, he got started out with Beavis and Butthead on MTV. It reminded me, you know, I was having kind of flashbacks of Liquid Television on MTV and some of those kind of alt animation styles. I was thinking maybe a little, was it the Grunt Brothers? Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember the Grunt Brothers. I also remember who's that? Eon Flux.
Yeah. Oh man, that show was the most badass. Like, that show blew my mind as a teenager. I was like, what is happening?
So
yeah, dude. I remember I was giving a talk at Red Cat about I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, and I was on a panel with Craig McCracken, the creator of Powerpuff Girls, and I was fucking drunk, and I had a 40, and I was drinking on stage, and I was telling just stories to this audience that was insane. And after the thing, after the talk, this Asian dude walked up to me. He's like, JJ, I just want to say to you, you're a piece of shit. And I was like, whoa, fuck. And I was like, thanks, man. Go fuck yourself. And he's like, what? And he couldn't believe I talked back to him, and he walked away. And it turns out it was the creator of Eon Flux.
What? Why did he think you were a piece of shit?
Because I made kind of a jackass of myself, you know.
Oh, okay.
Craig McCracken's wife she brought back My Little Pony, and when she was talking about My Little Pony, all I kept asking her in front of everyone is, just tell us about bronies. That's the only thing I'm interested in. What about the bronies?
It's the question everybody's asking.
Yeah. And then you could tell she was deliberately told by Disney not to talk about bronies. And I'm like, come on, how can you not talk about them? They had a convention in Idaho. 3,000 bronies showed up. Let's talk about bronies.
Jesus Christ, why Idaho for bronies? You know, it's like, what?
Yeah, I don't know if it was Idaho. Don't quote me on it, but I know it was one of those weird states.
Okay.
It was just like, it was a place where they, of course, like they'd have a convention for bronies there, and it was a mass gathering.
I got one more question for you here, JJ.
Sure.
Okay, I've watched one or two interviews with you, and I've heard you say in those, "Nah, I don't do drugs. I leave it alone." And but I gotta ask, have you done salvia or acid or anything like that? Like, what's like,
dude? I mean, this might sound stupid and like cliche, but like seriously, like just pitching cartoons and making cartoons is my drug, man. I mean, there's no high more than me than doing that. I drink. I love tequila and fucking Mexican beers and shit.
Hell yeah.
But like, I don't know what it is. It's just like, look, it's been around me. When you're in show business, the fucking drugs are everywhere. But it was just when it came to like being out at a bar or being at home drawing, like I would always just kind of rather be at home. I don't know what it was. It was just like, that's just how it ended up. It's just that
the substance within your shows are so disturbing, and it goes so far into the so hard in the paint. You know, it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, where is he getting some of this stuff from? But I mean, in horror, a lot of the most memorable stuff is, you know, Cannibal Holocaust and these things that just push the envelope, and your stuff does that. I mean, Tobe Hooper to me is a scary motherfucker, and mostly because, I mean, he looks and talks so normal. That's what makes him way more scary for me than like all those other like Rob Zombie and shit. It's just like, dude, look at a Tobe Hooper fucking interview. It's just like you're listening to like some guy, like he looks like a guy that just like does contracts and builds your house for you. But no, this dude is like fucking one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and he just looks so unintimidating, you know. It's just kind of scary.
So JJ Villard's Fairy Tales comes out May 10th is the premiere, and you can check that out. JJ, what's your favorite episode of the season? Do you have one?
And that's on that's on Adult Swim. My apologies.
Oh, no problem. I mean, I do love Boy Punzo, but I also do love Little Red Riding Hood. I mean, that one is fucking nuts. But I mean, they're all good. They were all such like a pleasure to work on, and it was so fun. And the team, I'll tell you just like this little behind the scenes thing. We handed in every episode with only going over 3 weeks of the schedule. I mean, that's insane with not having any reoccurring characters. And more important, we came in under budget. I had a bunch of extra money I could have definitely used at the end of the fucking season. And like, maybe I would have used it to try drugs. But either way, we came in under budget, which is unheard of.
Well, you got a show like nothing I've ever seen before, and everybody should check it out on May 10th on Adult Swim. What time does it premiere?
I think
it's midnight, kids, boys and girls. It's at 12:15.
Perfect. Yeah. Good deal, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on to Horror Movie Talk. We sure do appreciate it.
Thanks, Bryce and David. And dude, I got to tell you this. Your sound system, whatever you're using, it has been the best. You guys are so crystal clear. I'm just very impressed by your sound system.
Good. Excellent. We aim to please.
Awesome, guys. Take care.
Hey, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, JJ. We really appreciate you, and we're excited to see the rest of the season. I've seen the first 2 episodes from JJ Villard's Fairy Tales, and it's like I said, it's just tons of horror movie references, and it's just a fever dream the whole way through.
Yeah, we've got early access to the first 3. You know, with a bunch of watermarks over it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just means that we're better than you.
Yeah, it's not a huge deal. It's just we need you to know. that we're better than you. Right. So with that, let's go on to It Came from Social Media.
Yes, it came
from social media
to fill the world with terror, to bring you unforgettable suspense. What was it? Where did it come from? Who were the all-powerful creatures it brought
from social media?
And what did they want on Earth?
It Came from Social Media is a little bit where we get to talk about what happened in our week over social media. You guessed it. This week has been particularly chock full of stuff, so I don't know if I'll get to every little thing that happened, but I will hit some of the highlights. I did make an announcement on our Facebook page and Twitter. Once we wrapped the Robert Englund interview, which you can catch on next week's episode where we review Nightmare on Elm Street. That's right. We got to interview Freddy fucking Krueger. Bitch. And so when I posted the announcement that we just got done interviewing Robert Englund on Facebook, we got such a huge response.
Yeah.
And
I mean, huge for good reason, because if you know, we're just a plucky little podcast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
people appreciate what we do, the people that find us.
Why you always got to downplay everything so much?
I'm just saying how I feel. Like, it still feels like we're pretty, we're punk, right?
Yeah, fuck you.
And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we get one of the horror icons. Like, if you were to pick in your dream of all dreams, who would be a horror celebrity that you would want to interview? Like, Robert Englund would be on the top, 5 at least.
It was almost like it.
It was obviously an accident. I mean, the boy might have got scared and panicked, right?
That could be a logical explanation.
So it was one of those fluke accidents we could not have foreseen, and that is all there is to it.
I don't know.
It was an accident.
It was almost like it was an accident. Speaking of sleepaway camp.
Yeah.
But, so people were very happy for us. Magnus, our boy from Swedetown, he says, "Oh, my boys are moving up in the world." I don't know if that's how he said it. He probably said it in a
My boys are moving up in the town. I'm pretty sure that's how he said it.
Yeah.
I've talked with him on the phone. I think that's pretty accurate.
Take that, Magnus. That dude spoke fluent, perfect English.
You couldn't tell at all.
Brad.
He was like, "Thank you for having me on."
That's probably not even the right. You're the ugliest
Swedish chef.
You're the ugliest American I know.
It's the Swedish chef. From Muppets.
No, it's not. You're just a racist.
If he was talking in his home language, you'd be like, hurdy-gurdy-gurdy-burdy.
Brad said, "That's pretty neat." How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Leah S., our blogger, said, "That's so awesome." Keith Harris, our other blogger, said his mind exploded with a mind explosion gif. Garrett Day, my brother, said his mind exploded with a mind explosion gif. Mark Bento, this is my favorite one, who has been on this show reviewing American Psycho with us, he said, "You and Bruce do such a good job. I'm happy to see this growing into something fantastic." So Eric Lee from Scariest Things podcast said, "Godspeed, David. That's big time." And Bruce. And Taryn Marks said, "You guys are doing good." And I said, "Come on down for some moose soup." Because that's what you guys are doing good. You don't catch the reference? The moose soup lady from your mom's house?
Oh.
You guys are doing good. Come on down later for some moose soup. Nothing?
I don't recognize that at all.
God, you're retarded. Also, one of our Patreon members has been hitting us up. Jason C. has been hitting us up pretty consistently on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I love everything he contributes.
Yes.
Because it's very tailored to fit. He said...
He's going to be the origin of horror movie talk memes.
Yeah. He's taken it upon himself to be the memeologist behind HMT. He came in with a meme that I mean, you got to see. You should check it. I retweeted most of these, so check him out on Twitter. Where he's where it's Stewie and what's the dog's name on Family Guy?
Brian.
And Stewie looking angrily at Brian, and Brian is you playing the hot children drops, and me, I'm just fucking so angry about it. Poor David gets bullied. He says, lol, JK. Love these guys. Hey, I should also mention it was your birthday this last weekend. Happy birthday there, big boy. How old are you?
38.
God damn, so hot. Okay. I mean, so old.
Yeah, decrepit.
Oh, poor Bryce.
I'll tell you what, I started taking Metamucil.
Yeah, he didn't know how to take Metamucil. He let it. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, because you have a healthy bowel or diet already, Metamucil is it's fiber, it's bulk that you add to water, and it tastes kind of like Tang. But if you let it sit too long, it turns into slurp. It turns into like gelatin. And so Bryce was chugging Mucil gel, and he's like, this stuff is gross. I was like, you don't do it like that, you dummy. You got to chug it real fast before it turns into, you let it turn into goop in your tum-tum.
Yeah, it really tasted like orange snot, like lightly flavored orange snot. So, yeah, I chugged it this morning, which is a much better way to take it if you're going to take Metamucil.
You take it anyway. I tell you, you're going to take it. Jason also said on, so after we posted that it was Bryce's birthday, Jason said, I don't know why, but I pictured David, because I came by Bryce's house and gave him a present to give him, we kept socially safe distance.
David baked me some snickerdoodles.
To be fair, I think that was our Patreon member, Carrie Day.
You said it was you.
My wife. Well, I say a lot of things that I don't necessarily mean or believe to be true. But Jason says, I don't know why, but I pictured David coming out of a cake for you, Bryce, for your birthday, wearing nipple tassels while singing Goodbye Horses. Goodbye Horses.
To which I replied, and he didn't even have the common decency to tuck.
It's like he was there. He didn't. I tucked it. It's that big.
Oh, okay. That was just your dick root?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just the root. He also throws some shade at us. He's like, he's not shade. He just threw us a picture of Elvira, the busty lady of the night of horror.
You were the one throwing shade at this.
I threw shade at it, yeah. I said, I don't know. Them's got to be some wet, sloppy perps. Like, those got to be some old titties by now. Like, nothing against old titties. I like them, but these things have been probably fucked out, I imagine. They're those bolt-on titties. I'm not all about that. I said, while she's an obvious staple, Elvira is, I much prefer Samara Weaving, the lead from Ready or Not.
The one with no tits.
Well, look, I just like her as, like, the horror, the new torchbearer.
Jason responded, but no one has better looking knockers. Change my mind, Bryce. I say Bryce because he is the expert on horror boobies. And I don't know how that's been established.
I don't know how that's been established either. Bryce will take it. He takes all comers.
I'll take it.
No.
Yeah, and then you insultingly said he is absolutely not. Bruce just likes anything with a pulse. I'm the titty aficionado. Besides them, big fakies ain't my bag. So...
Look.
You have... I still can't narrow down what your type is, like, for titties.
Natural.
Yeah, I can get behind that 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I'm... The bolt-ons, like, I ain't got time.
They gotta have... You gotta see the gravity.
Yeah. You gotta see, like, the scoop.
Yeah.
Going down.
Yeah. Yeah, and like,
but I mean, also,
they gotta move like the tide in the ocean.
Yeah, But I'm pretty generous with size. Like, you can go pretty small to pretty big. Like, I'm fine with anything.
Anything?
Pretty much.
I'm fine with anything. Whoa.
I mean, not like. I mean, we're not talking like 40-year-old boobies.
Well, you better be all right with 40-year-old boobies because you're 38.
Well, have 3 years to get okay with it.
Wow, well, you're bad at math too.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, Oh dear. Hopefully your wife doesn't become a patron.
I am appreciative of.
There's just going to be
women's bodies.
I had an idea for this week's Afterpod, the podcast that we do only on Patreon, where it's just me and you talking, but it's mostly like beep, 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 just edited beeps.
Oh, yeah.
So that my wife doesn't catch on to all the things that we say about her.
Yeah. Last thing. Did you have another?
No, this is all you.
We got a new review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much from Zach0421, titled "Great Show for Horror Fanatics." This was just left last Wednesday. He said, "Hey guys, I just joined recently, but have blown through your backlog and afterpods, and have to say this is the best horror podcast I have found yet.
Yeah, it surely is.
Your comedy and charisma / horror insight are top notch. I even got my wife into it now while breaking her into horror movies. Anyone who puts some of my all-time favorites like Hereditary, Midsommar, or The Witch deserves all the support. I would love to see maybe a few more foreign films, though, like maybe Raw or Audition. Keep it up, my dudes. Please bring back horror porno, LOL."
Yeah, we do need to bring back horror porno.
Horror porno is probably the last. I mean, that's really our crowning achievement in this podcast so far. Robert Englund's pretty good. But
I don't know.
But horror porno is. We've brought something into the world.
Can you play
that's
the horror
important.
or porno intro real quick? I just love that intro so much. And it's the end of the show. We deserve something nice.
Hold on. Shoot.
You know, so while I vamp here, I'm thinking about what we could possibly talk about on the Afterpod today, because I don't want my wife hearing. Like, I don't know that she even knows how to use Patreon. I just think she just likes the idea of being able to listen to it. So maybe we could just like milk her for all she's worth. Oh wait, no, I guess that's my money. Oh wait, no, it's our money.
Do you remember an episode that we did it on?
Ready or Not. I think there was It Chapter 2.
Here it is.
And with that, thank you all for listening to the show. We sure do appreciate you. Make sure to share it with a friend. That's how we grow. And you know, leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts, because that helps us out a tremendous amount in terms of getting eyes on our podcast. And we are looking to grow. If you'd like to help us out in a monetary way, do it passively by bookmarking the Amazon link. Really do that, because we need help. We do need your help. And we know you're just buying off Amazon. It shouldn't all go into Bezos' pockets. It can go into our pockets too. So bookmark that link. Use it every time you shop on Amazon. Also, if you'd like to become a patron, we got tons of exclusives, including the Afterpod, which we'll be recording right after this. So special thanks to JJ Villard. You guys check out his show on May 10th at midnight. That's JJ Villard's Fairy Tales. We appreciate all the opportunities that they've given us. And Robert Englund, of course, expect to hear his interview sometime next week, probably Wednesday, when we release the Nightmare on Elm Street review. So with that, we love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ah, the French.